Should we be surprised that there is nothing that seems to be simple about the sale of the Washington Commanders? Now, we have a couple of different tracks. On one track, Josh Harris's bid is being preliminarily evaluated by the NFL. Only minor issues have been observed, although one of them is they haven't quite figured out where all the money's coming from. That would seem to be more than minor, but it's a non-binding bid. It's a non-exclusive offer where Daniel Snyder still could choose someone else, someone who would have a better deal than the $6.05 billion. It's not done yet. It's not even remotely close to being done. And Chris, we've talked about Josh Harris. He's got Magic Johnson involved, Mitchell Rales, who helped get the dollars to where they needed to be. This Brian Davis angle that kind of popped up over the weekend, right. And I personally do not believe, based on anything I've heard, he did a long interview yesterday with the Sports Junkies on 106.7 The Fan in D.C. I do not believe that he has the money to buy 30% at $7 billion himself, because those are league rules. There are very specific requirements to buy a team. The lead owner, the primary owner, Chris, has to have 30%, has to be able to write the check, transfer the funds for 30%. You can't borrow for it. You've got to have it.
Right.
Then you got to have money on top of that to run the team.
Yeah.
You can't borrow more than $1.1 billion for the whole thing from a bank. You can have up to 25, I think it is, investors who own pieces of the team. You cobble together 100% that way. It's not like something like, and think about, and this is where I'm going with this. The NFL places these requirements on the transfer of equity in a team. I'm starting to think, because the guy's he's not going to be able to buy the team. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
I haven't seen all the facts, but listening to that interview, I don't think the guy's got the $2.1 billion where he could buy the team and be the primary owner. So something else is going on.
Yeah.
So either this is a PR grab, which if so, bravo, we're now aware of Brian Davis, who played for Duke and played for the Minnesota Timberwolves, and regardless. But my theory is this, and it's more speculation than anything. I wonder whether somebody wants to fight the NFL's rules on equity transfer, franchise purchase, because you could make the argument it's an antitrust violation for the NFL to say to owners, you can only transfer your team under these specific conditions. You just can't sell to whoever you want to sell for however much money they would want to pay you in whatever structure of a deal they want to do. I can't help but wonder whether or not that's where this one is going, that they're going to challenge at some point the NFL's rules for buying and selling teams.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting that you bring that up. I would think, there's a reason the owners have done this or set this up, and not necessarily monetarily here. I think it's just like safety, insurance, whatever. The fact of we don't want to just 25 guys got together. We don't know where the money's coming from, whatever, and everything goes bad or something happens to the organization, and now they got to sell, and it's like, oh my gosh, it's a crap show here as far as the money and where it gets dispersed. I'm sure that's why that's there, but it's interesting that you think this could be challenged.
Well, look at it this way. My business, PFT, people think NBC owns it. They don't. I own 100% of the equity. I can sell it to whoever I want. Now, I've got restrictions in my contract with NBC, but conceptually, if you own a business, you should be able to sell it to whoever you want. It is an antitrust violation for 32 independent businesses to come together. It's arguably, I'm not saying it is, but I could see the pathway into a courtroom. They're violating the antitrust laws by putting these restrictions in place, and maybe this is all the beginning stages of a test case to file a lawsuit against the NFL to blow up these rules. And then that opens the door for anybody, corporations, Saudi Arabia, anybody to come in and buy these teams. Anyway, something to keep an eye on because it all seems too weird with Brian Davis. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.